Podcast a go-go, baby, on this episode of the Level Cap Podcast featuring Cameron and Marco, but not Brad, where we talk about level 99 games, things, or otherwise.
That was quite a catchy intro, Marco.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You think it'll do great? Like, do you think the kids will find it entertaining and, easy to remember?
I'd hope so. It's got Go in the name.
I mean, okay.
Everyone loves Pokemon Go.
No, I don't. I dislike Pokemon Go actively.
I've never even played
welcome
it.
to What? You're not missing out on anything.
Okay, good. Thanks, Marco.
Yeah, it's not. Oh my god, it's a non-game. You walk around and you just catch monsters, and then that's it.
Yeah, it's mainly because in the region we live in, there's you could walk for 30 kilometers or 20 miles or whatever, and you'll never see anything. So.
Yeah, don't you live in the mountain countryside or something?
That's correct. We live in the middle of the outback. So, yeah.
Has there ever been a time where some dangerous animal has gotten in the house or something?
All the time. There was a snake in our house literally last week.
Oh, jeez.
And
there's... Is it become...
spiders everywhere too.
And I'm assuming these are venomous.
Yeah, pretty much
spiders.
Pretty much everything is venomous in Australia. That's the main rule of thumb. Don't touch anything.
So are you telling me that this is a daily occurrence? You can walk into your house, you see a snake, and you're like, "Oh, snake, cool," and then you call the pest control. Is that it?
No. We just get the dogs to kill it.
Wait. You have dogs that will kill the snakes.
And cats. Cats like killing the snakes better.
Wait a minute. Have you trained the cats and the dogs to kill snakes?
No. They just naturally do it because, they see it slithering and then they're just like, oh, okay, this could be a fun toy, and they'll kill it.
Are you saying that dogs and cats in Australia find it natural in their instincts to see something that slithers, and then the first thing they think is, wow, geez, it would be great to kill that thing?
Well, dogs and cats do, so I guess so.
Because dogs and cats where I come from do not do that.
Maybe it's a natural thing for them over here, oh god, this is going to kill me if I don't kill it. I don't know.
Oh.
But
Australia, you scary, man. Australia, you scary.
But it's true.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Man, there's a YouTube channel that I've told Brad about on podcast called Fear Zoo.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's really good. Yeah, go on, explain.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, so it's a YouTube channel that treats wildlife as if it were an MMORPG, right? So it treats animals like builds, the orca is the best DPS build if you want to play on this ocean server or something like that, right?
Yeah.
They recently released a video talking about servers, and they started with Australia and they're the pros and cons in playing on the Australia server. And then, the cons there are, everything is poisonous / venomous. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
After that
I didn't know it was true. I thought...
After that podcast episode, I had to look it up because you just explained it so fantastically. And I laughed so hard at, the different snake builds. Oh, it was good.
Oh, the different snake builds, man. Amphibians are low tier.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, welcome to the Level Cap Podcast. We have a wonderful docket for you tonight. I promise it won't all be about Australia being scary. Some of it will be about Cameron being scary and me being scary. Because the new year brings us to new territory that we don't know, and the unknown is scary. But that doesn't mean it's bad, right, Cameron?
That's correct. New stuff
what
is
else
always
I don't know?
exciting. What?
Yes, it's true. New stuff is exciting. And speaking of new stuff and stuff I don't know, Cameron, guess what I don't know?
What don't you know, Marco? Tell me, please. I'm anxious now.
I don't know. Oh gosh, Cameron, I don't know what you've been playing.
Oh, Yeah, so I've been playing Pokemon. I actually played a game for once. Yes, it was only for about 2 hours on the weekend when I had my day off. But I played Pokemon, and it, people explain like fighting games because I like to watch a lot of fighting games and research a lot of fighting games for BCO's internal animations and how they interact and stuff. So
Okay.
So, like, for example, like, when I did Hikaru's, Hikaru Doken, whatever we called it, I looked at Ryu specifically and looked at how it flowed and how the bar went and stuff. So, I researched a lot of that. But, like, I was playing Pokken, and I'm trying to think, why is this game so deceptively easy to play, yet it's so hard to master? Because my son picked it up, and he was just an absolute expert right out of the box. And so I'm like, wait a minute. Is it that easy to play Pokken? Compared to, in Street Fighter, if you're playing a pretty experienced player, you're just going to get wiped.
Yeah, you're getting bodied, son.
Yeah. So they'll like zone you or anything. They'll just do crazy stuff, right? And so I thought, why don't I hand it to one of my youngest kids, in fact, a 4-year-old, tell him which buttons to randomly press and see how well he does online, right? And he did surprisingly well. And so I'm like,
oh man.
And so I'm like, he actually won the match, and like he was performing combos like crazy. And I'm thinking, is it that easy to learn? So I sat down and watched some YouTube combo videos, and I realized I suck at fighting games. Because my memory muscle is just not built for it. Like, I'm built to think about what and analyze what's coming in, but sometimes
you're a TCG player, right?
Yeah, and so when you try to take that aspect into a fighting game, it just doesn't work out well because they've already done the move and they've already counted what you're thinking to do anyway. So it comes with a lot of I love fighting games too. Like, I like the concept. I just would never be an elite player. But Pokken's really good. Pokken's on the level... You know how Super Smash Bros. Is really easy to get into? Yeah, like anyone can pick it up and play, basically. Well, Pokken's kind of the same.
It's not that hard of a fighting game.
Yeah, Pokken's kind of the same, where it's in between Super Smash Bros. And Tekken, where Tekken's more mid to high, and then you've got, like... Well, Street Fighter V is a lot lower than it used to be, but the old Street Fighter games took a lot of skill to play at an esports level. But Pokken seems like a lot of people can just get into and play, and it's really good and it shows that people are, considering like we went into online and we found matches within less than 5 seconds. And, like, we're versing people at our skill level and playing the game, and I was just enjoying it. So it's really good to see a fighting game where you can actually go online and enjoy your time, if you know what I mean.
And not get continuously beaten, bloodied all the time, because losing all the time sucks, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's demoralizing, too. Like, why did I even buy this game? And then when you get into Pokken, you feel like even if you lose... It makes you feel like a winner. And I don't know if that's the announcements, like the person talking. But, like, because she'll be like, it's alright, we'll win the next one. And then you get that sense of gratification, like, okay, I could probably win the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she believes in me.
Yeah. So I don't know, like, having a commentator really helps you play. But sometimes it's really limiting. And a lot of people don't like it. Like, once... point in time, I was versing someone, and it's like, your health is getting very low, you better do something. And I'm just like, I'm aware that I'm dying here. You know what I mean?
Hey, you're pouring salt in the wound here, my friend. You're pouring salt in the wound here.
Yeah, so sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's unhelpful. Support sets in Pokemon are really cool too. Like, so everything's pretty much single button. You know what I mean? So you press this button to do a light punch.
Do this move.
Yeah, and press across and to do a different version of the light punch. But support sets had a lot of strategy. So when I choose my strategy, I just thought of the whole strategy of I'll use Cubong's Boomerang to throw it at them, and if they block it, it's going to push them closer to me because they didn't get hit in the air, and I'll just grab them. And so
That's a good
like
strategy.
so it's easy to do the grab. You know, in some games it's just near impossible to do grabs. Well, in this game it's just two buttons. Like you just press them at the same time and you do a grab.
I mean,
And
for most games, it is two buttons to grab, Cameron.
is it really?
Yes, it's only when you're using a grappler character where it becomes basically impossible.
Oh, like King
you have to do
from
360. Yeah, King from Tekken or Zangief from Street Fighter. They're the ones who have command. Those are called command grabs because you have to input the command to do the grab.
Yeah. So, but it's much simpler in Pokken in terms of that. I mean, like Pokken's got a lot of. I admit that the roster is a bit small, shall we say?
They have like 9?
Wait, no, it's way more than 9. It's about 18, I think. I can't remember. I'd have to.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad. But like, you feel like, I wish there was more. You know, like Pokemon, there's like 700 to nearly 800 Pokemon, and then you've only got this small selection.
Yeah, I guess. I guess it's just a big missed opportunity, you know? Like, I would have liked Breloom.
Oh, yeah, he would have been cool too, huh? Like, throw around seats and stuff. He'd be awesome. They need to do a remake.
Stretchy arms?
Yeah. Vine Whip, too. See, Bulbasaur, he would have been cool too.
Yeah, but we don't get him. Oh, well. Who do you main? Before we move on, who do you main?
Lucario, 100%. Favorite Pokemon.
Oh, Edgelord. I see, Edgelord. Lucario is the Edgelord character. Like, you know, everybody and their parents want to play him.
Actually,
so anyway,
go on.
Yeah?
I was going to say...
You go.
I was going to say, actually, one of my sons picked Pikachu, and my other one picked, I can't remember now. I think it was Weavile, and it was just crazy good to... Because Weavile just has crazy combos, so he could spam any button and it would just do cool stuff.
Yeah, because he's fast.
Yeah.
Super fast. Yeah. So, that's what you've been playing. Ask me what I've been playing.
So, Marco, what have you been playing this week?
Oh, gee, Cameron, thank you for asking that without having any prompt or having me ask you to ask me. It's a game called Deep Sky Derelicts.
Sounds complex already by the name. So I'm interested.
Yes, because it is a roguelike sci-fi dungeon game. Huzzah. You're a group of mercenaries who are contracted to go into derelict spaceships and then raid them in order to gain access to something called the Mothership, which is a ship you can only gain access to by looking at the mission logs of a bunch of derelict spaceships. So you go through these spaceships, you fight aliens. It's pretty cool. The main hook here is that combat is card-based.
Oh.
So, yes. So, every character, you have 3 characters, and every character gains access to certain kinds of equipment. What equipment you put on the character determines the cards in their deck. So, for example, you put, like, a sword in a guy's hands, then they'll gain 3 cards that are like slash, slash, and slash. If you put a gun in someone's hands, they have like shoot, spread shot, or like sniper shot, or something like that. So it's really cool because like the equipment system isn't determined by stats, it determines what cards go into your deck. So it's pretty cool because some equipment can be like, you know, they have a really powerful card, but one of the other cards that come with the equipment is useless. Like it's blank or something. So it's pretty cool.
How many characters do you control that one? Is it a strategy game? If it's got cards, is it a strategy game or is it like action? What genre is it? Top down?
It's think Final Fantasy, but instead of like commanding your people to do things based on menus, your list of actions is determined by a card deck that you draw from.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, so you can have up to 3 characters at a time. And each character can be of any different kinds of classes. You know, there's a class that's like a support class, there's a healer, there's like a gun guy, there's a guy who punches things, whatever. And during each of their turns, they draw a specific amount of cards, and then you play a specific amount of cards, and you go next turn, and so on and so forth. Your opponents also play with cards, so there's a lot of like card-on-card combat. I think what's really cool about it is like the animations are all like comic book style. So like when you play a card, it shows like instead of like showing an animation of your character going up to the guy and then punching him, it'll instead just show this like in those comic books, like it zooms in and shows your character punching the other guy, and there's like a giant whap pow on the screen. Yeah, it's like that. So it's like the comic book aesthetic's pretty fun.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty much it. I mean, like, I'm a big sucker. Look, it has all of my favorite parts in it: tactical strategic card combat, roguelike, and then sci-fi. It's like that's Marka's jam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. It sounds interesting. Like, I wanted to make a game like that one day, where it was strategy based off a card deck. But that's one day. Sounds interesting.
One day, when you're done with BCO and PTO. So that pretty much does it for what we've been playing. Again, if you guys want to recommend any cool games to us, we will try to get them as soon as possible. Just put them in the comment section down below. But before we move on any further, let's talk about some development. Welcome to Cameron Talks About Development, where we will ask the lead balancer, which is me, and the lead developer for Pixel Tactics Online to talk about strategies for Pixel Tactics Online. I know people want BattleCon Online stuff. We know, but Cameron and I aren't that good at BattleCon Online, you know?
No, I'm terrible.
We can't really...
Like, I've only played...
You've only played how many?
Like 20 matches, and most of them were online. So, yeah... Don't ask me about BattleCon strategy.
Yeah, so he's not a good reference point, but PTO, different story, different beast altogether. So during last week, we actually talked a little bit about this already, where we started talking about, how Brad does the balancing, how we were looking at, like, how the balance progressed, when we originally started off as, it's physical PT, and then we realized, we can't do that, orbs. And then we realized, wait, orb's not enough, more actions, and all that stuff. So,
yeah,
Cameron, care to tell us what you want to talk about PTO's balancing and development for this week?
So, I mean, like, in balancing any game, we've got to make it fair. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you guys a situation that me and Marco had to deal with. And by the way, I'm the only developer on PTO. Just saying. Besides, Fontes does the art, Wesley does the music, you do the balancing, and I do all the programming of the server, clients, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah. So one of the things that that we asked you and Brad for, so I asked you about it, and you said go for it. So I asked Brad about it, and that was giving every unit an additional 1 health. Do you remember this?
Yeah. We talked about this because orders were wrecking everyone.
Yeah, and so like a lot of people had 5 or 6 health, like at that stage. All the main Juggernaut cards, and there's a card in the game called Poison 3. Oh well, it's an alchemist, but it has Poison 3 order, and so they could literally play 2 of them and wipe out your whole board. And so Marco came up with the idea: let's just raise it by 1. And I thought,
well,
wait,
you did.
Well, yeah, I did, but I came to you to talk about it. And so I said, like, how about we do this? Just because you said having 5 or 6 health is the same as having 4 health or 3 health. You were the one that told me that. And I thought, well, if we made most of them 7 health, then suddenly we don't have the problem where they need 3 poisons. And you can't have that without phantoming, like duplicating the cards. And so we raised it all by 1 health, and suddenly attacking felt more needed even though Marco always says that attacking is the worst action you can take. It suddenly became...
It's wrong. Wait. That's wrong. It's the second worst action.
Oh, what's the first?
Clear corpse.
Oh, because you just resurrect them. But yeah, so we came up with the idea, and suddenly aggro decks couldn't kill off, because what was it? Fighter had 3 attack or 4 attack, or was it Warrior? Warrior had 3 or 4 attack, and it could easily 2-shot everything. But when we raised the attack by 1, the health by 1, suddenly he had to 3-shot, and this slowed down the game slightly towards aggro players, but boosted it more into the control era, because aggro was just running dominant. Because Marco got the job of balancing because he made the most broken decks. He made the most absurdly broken decks. And I would just be like, how do I fix this? And then Marco would come to me and say, you just do this. And so Brad's like, let's hire the man. Well, Marco is always working for Level 99. But
I mean,
Marco's... Yeah, but like, Brad was like, give him the job of balancing. And you've done pretty well so far. So,
yay! Thanks.
I mean, like, when we have new cards too, that's the problem. Like, we came up with the idea that traps all needed to be one orb. Was it one orb or two orbs? Or did we end up with one orb?
I think it was one orb. Like, all traps are one orb.
Yeah, because then you don't know what your opponent's playing. And that just makes sense, right? Like...
Yeah, I mean, like... If one trap costs 2 and everything costs 1, you'd know when they play the 2-cost trap, right?
Yeah, and 2 orbs too is how do I say it? Is just too much for certain effects. It's just too much.
It's expensive. It's really expensive.
Like counterspell. What is the counterspell thing? Card. I've forgotten.
It's whatever Batrov is.
Oh, so it's the statistician. Yeah.
Statistician.
Statistician. So we made him, and it was just so weak to cancel a spell. But spells are making a comeback now, aren't they, Marco? Like, spells are becoming...
they are.
Spells are becoming the new thing, but we have yet to really nerf a spell. Are we?
Yeah. That's the deal with spells, right? Like they're the dark horse, I feel, because a lot of orders are getting directly nerfed, right? Because we feel they're too strong. And it's true, they are really strong, right?
Yeah.
But to counteract that, we've added orbs, we've added a lot of like traps that counter orders, we've added characters that like most of the heroes can take 2 orders before dying now, instead of having to take 1, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
But spells, we haven't really touched them because they're usually fair. Spells are like a very fair thing to do. What's unfair about spells is that you can do them repeatedly, unlike orders. So spells are usually less good than orders, but you can do them every single round, and that's what makes them really strong.
Yeah, but in saying that, like, if we're talking from a balancing perspective, you only get to do it every 3 rounds. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
How often do they... Like, with an order, you can play 2 orders, possibly even 3 orders if you had an orb, in one single round, single turn. But with spells, you can only do it every 3. So, I mean, like, that's another thing about balancing is that, like, spells are less powerful already. Besides that new... What's the Plague Doctor's flank spell? It's Poison 3?
It's Poison 3, dude.
Yeah, that's just insanity. Like, Brad, what are you doing?
Hey, it's fine. It's fine. We'll fine.
Probably have to
aggro decks.
That.
I don't think so. So, like, that's the thing, right? Like, spells aren't usually as strong as orders, but remember, spells don't cost you a card to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that hero is still a hero on the board and is contributing to attacking or doing some stuff or body blocking, right?
Yep.
So a spell is kind of like a compromise. Like, this hero isn't really good for combat, but if you want to be able to reuse an effect over and over again, it's pretty good. I feel like some spells aren't worth using, but some spells are really, really, really good. Like, for example, Lancer, right? Lancer's rear spell is great.
Is it an executed kill or something?
Finisher kill. So,
finisher kill.
So, the Lancer, instead of attacking, can just instantly kill anything that has damage on it. Yes. That's a pretty good spell. That's a pretty good spell. There's a bunch of other spells, too, that are, I think, personally are underrated, mostly because we don't have enough cards yet. So I think this is a big thing about spells. A lot of spells are supportive effects, like heal or draw extra cards or inspire and stuff like that.
Yep. And I mean, like, even if that was the case, the thing about spells too, like, they are all supportive. And if I really wanted to, I can kill that thing before it gets a chance to use that spell. You know what I mean?
And that's the dealio, right? That's the tenuous balance. A lot of spells are totally like, you know, you can kill the character to stop the spell, but here's my point. Most of the time, spells aren't strong enough that you're forced to kill the thing that has the spell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like, that's true. Like, there's so much that goes in, and PT is just so well designed in that regard.
Yeah, like how do I explain this? Like some characters' spells are really good, right? We've already listed Blade Doctor, we've listed Lancer. Heck, I'll even put Magic Student there because I think Magic Student's Vanguard spell is so good.
What is
like,
that again?
Free action. I think it's like Quick Spell Draw 2 or Quick Spell Scry 2.
Oh wow, that's really good. Yeah, Scry 2 is better.
Or what was the other one? Or for example, Witch, which is the Hepzibah hero, has Quick Cast Resurrect, or was it Revive? What leaves the character at one?
Revive.
Yeah, quick spell Revive. Like, so those are really powerful spells, right? But that's the deal with Pixel Tactics. Like, if one aspect of a character is really good, it usually pays for it in other aspects. Magic Student has 0 attack. Witch only has 2 attack. Blade Doctor is really, really poorly statted. I think it only has 1 health.
Yeah, it's very low. Like, it'll die to anything. Literally.
Yeah, it will die to anything. So that's like the balance to it, right? But like, to your point earlier, like, spells are really good supportively, but I think spells are a dark horse. Because the moment we get a few more cards, like, I feel spells will be good the moment the next 2 or 3 worlds get put in, and we get more cards.
Yeah. In saying that, I was going to add to your thing, but spells can be really good in certain decks. Like, who's the one that got Meteor 7 at the rear? I think it's Statistician, or whatever it's called. That's really good in Heketch.
Yeah, that's like, a really good Heketch deck, right?
Yeah, that's like a board clear if they've only got 2 people on it, Nelly. So, I mean, like...
And we haven't even talked about, like, the primo spell deck that's in the game right now.
Yeah. Are we talking about Backstab?
Dude, we're talking about it too.
It too. It is my favorite
so
deck.
For all of, yeah, dude. So it just goes to show, like, spells can be really, really dangerous if we don't keep them in check. But we are keeping them in check. So for all of you who aren't in the Pixel Tactics online community, it too is a backstab deck. Again, because et tu brute, Caesar, backstabbing. Anyway, it too is a backstab deck that has Mikhail as the leader. So Mikhail's ability is that he can cast free resurrection at the end of every round on any one of his units, right? So I combo this with a deck that's filled with cards that just have the backstab spell. So these are filled with ghosts, assassins, fencers,
vampires.
No, not fencers. Vampires. Sorry, yeah. Vampires, occultists. So these are all different heroes with the backstab ability. How does this deck play? You summon a bunch of things with backstab, and every turn, instead of attacking, you just backstab the enemy leader until they die. What happens if your opponent clears your units? Revive them with Mikhail, and then backstab them again.
So strong to have backstab in the front with Mikhail. Because if you're on the switch, then you get a free backstab. So the deck's just overall strong. That's another thing. There's a lot of archetypes to PTO, and it's only new. Like, it's crazy to think that there's like so many inventive decks out there, especially from some experienced players. They just come up with some wacky ideas that just work. Like, for example, Lizaveta, when you came out with her, and you said, this is really good. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, we thought she was low tier. And suddenly she was good because all it takes is that one card to make one deck just so good.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, I think that Lizaveta thing ended up being, like, the tech that made Lizaveta work was the fact that we needed a few extra aggro cards in the meta. Like, we needed to figure out that Lancer was an aggro card. We also needed to figure out that, there's a lot more card drawn now thanks to the Magic Student and all that stuff. So Lizaveta works now, and I'm so happy.
Yeah. That's what you're going back to your other thing where you said in 2 or 3 expansions, the game will be completely different, because you're right, it will be, because there'll be newer effects, newer things, and that might make certain people way better. Like, Hekage wasn't that great until it got Meteor and all these random damaging effects. And now suddenly it's top tier now. Oh, wait, what tier is it? You've got that list, don't you?
Oh, man. I'm not sure.
It's pretty close to top.
I haven't tiered most of them. Like, here's the thing. We only have 2 tiers in PTO right now. Decks that are viable and decks that aren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've rated Hekage as a leader A tier. He's A tier. Like, if not S tier, he's A tier. Because he's really good. Like, he's the de facto mid-range deck. He will control aggro decks, and he will out-aggro control decks. That's it.
Yeah, he's all around pretty good. Like, I think all the leaders have their spot, and they all just need that 1 or 2 cards just to make them, like, perfect. So,
yeah,
that's...
I think that's no truer. That goes back to balancing. Like, that's what makes balancing a card game really interesting, because... Like, and like, a lot of people rag on Hearthstone, for doing certain things, but, like, the more and more cards you release, the more and more you have to consider how much they affect the balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for example, the moment that we have Hekage as a leader, we can't put too many Meteor effects into the game, Meteor Storm effects into the game, because he would get broken immediately. Like, he would just clear everything all the time, and you would never be able to do anything about it.
Yeah. So that's another thing. That comes back to card design too. Like, it's so hard to make a game, you know what I mean? Like, we always go to Marco and say, I have been, and I'll be like, Brad wants to implement this card. What do you think? And I gave you a list of like 10 people, didn't I? Or actually 5 to 10 people. And you just went, do this, do that, keep that the same, do this. And so I did that, because you can instantly see, as the balancing guy, what's going to break it. So, I mean...
Yeah. My gosh. Well, most of the time, it's the reverse, I modify the cards so that when they go in, they're not garbage. Because that ends up being what a lot of the cards are in PTO. They're either garbage or useful, right? Some cards just aren't useful because they're redundant compared to other cards, For the longest time... the Pistolier was just an infinitely worse version of the Twin Blade.
Yeah. Until you patched the attack. Yeah, didn't you patch the attack?
And now he's in every aggro deck.
Yeah.
We patched his Vanguard ability to give him free attack instead of double attack.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sorry.
Now, free attacking 3 attack, dude, is pretty strong, right? For an aggro deck. I think that's also the card that made Lizaveta aggro really good. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, all it takes is that one card. For example, simple as this. Occultist and Ghost came out in the same expansion, right?
Yeah. World 3.
And both of those cards are the reason why the Mikhail Backstab at 2 deck works. Without those 2 cards, Mikhail wouldn't have a deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, all it takes is 1 or 2 cards, and then suddenly a hero or a leader that was like borderline useless, like Mikhail, suddenly becomes meta. And it's fun, It's fun to find out all those strategies and figure out what's broken, what's not. I mean, if you saw us like months ago, like 4 months ago, or like half a year ago or something, we would still be in the era of Marco plays... what was that?
It was the World 2. Marco plays... You had random names for it. What?
No. It was like back in the era... Like, we would still be in the era of Marco did the thing that eventually got him the lead balancer job, which was to create a deck that would 30 to 40% of the time guaranteed OTK anybody with 20 health or below. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh my goodness. But we've gotten far, PTO's way more balanced now. And Cameron, tell me, are you excited to get back to work on PTO?
I can't wait for it because everything about PTO. Actually, I will mention some things though. There's a lot of things I will be changing in PTO in the engine wise on the server because after going for BCO and seeing how the server engineer handles that, it just made me realize that PTO could be much better in terms of that. And so I've already asked for permission from Brad to rewrite the server. It wouldn't take that long. Like, I work pretty fast. But, so I can't wait to get back on PTO. It's going to be fantastic. I mean,
it's going to be great. It's
going
to be wonderful. And I'm really happy that we're going to be able to finish PTO eventually. So that pretty much does it for Marco and Cameron talk about development. If you guys want us to talk about a specific type of thing for development, please tell us in the comment section down below. Cameron.
Yes. What's up?
We are going to end this podcast in a few minutes after we do our 99 questions segment where you ask us questions that we answer. Cameron, this is going to be quick fire. Don't think too hard about these, okay?
Okay, I'll try not to.
What are your nicknames? Do people call Brad Dave? I think if you shorten Marco, it would be Mark or Mick, and then Mick and Dave would sound like a cool pairing. So, Cameron, what's your nickname? Do people call you Cam or Ron?
Ron. Only when Cody's angry at me does she ever call me Ron, because she knows it upsets me. My parents call me Cam. Everyone online calls me Seki, and yeah, that's pretty much what everyone calls me. Like, I don't really have much nicknames besides them, but yeah, I do like to use nicknames for other people though. So.
Oh really? What's your nickname for me?
Barco, like a doggy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Bamaran. I don't have nicknames because my name's pretty short. It's like 2 syllables, you know.
Yeah.
But my parents call me Kuya, which is Kuya. So this is a Philippine culture thing. It's our word for like big brother. It's the equivalent of like calling someone oppa or whatever, you know, if you're into Korean or something like that. It's just to reinforce it for kids. It's like, you know how your parents call each other mom and dad so that the kids call them mom and dad? Yeah. So it's kind of like that because I have a younger brother. So that's why my parents call me that word so that my younger brother calls me that word too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's it. So my nickname is either Marco or Big Brother. Take your pick, I guess.
Or Barco, because that's why I call you.
Arf, arf. Okay, next one. What is your favorite game show?
Game show? Oh, I haven't watched TV. I don't know.
Just name one. Don't think too hard about it, fam.
What's that one where they've got the answers on the board? And like they'll be like they have to answer the questions, the top 10 answers. Family Feud, that's it. Yeah, Family Feud. I'll say Family Feud.
I see. I like that. I like a game show called I like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire because I'm a trivia buff. Like, I like knowing random useless trivia, so I guess that's a show for me.
I like that show because if I get one question right, I'm like, oh, I should have been 100,000 by now. It makes me feel good.
Oh my god. Yeah, it makes you feel good, right? Okay, last question. What is your favorite mass market game?
Mass market? Video game or board game or card game or anything?
Any.
Video game would probably at the moment be Elder Scrolls Online. Card game would be Pokemon. Always got to go to that. And board game, I enjoy Balcon. I do, but I don't play it as much as I would like to. So probably something like Monopoly or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like something casual that everyone can play and have fun in.
Yeah, that's true. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I get you though. I mean, like sometimes, you know, if you're not really in the board gaming hobby. I mean, like my first board game was BattleCon, so that's my favorite. But like that's not a mass market game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the correct answer there would be something like Settlers of Catan or like chess, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's a simple video game. Final Fantasy 3. DS. The one that's not about the people with steampunk robots.
I like the
Sorry,
Final
because
Fantasy series.
there's like an entire thing, like Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 6 are the same Final Fantasy. Like, I think Final Fantasy 6 was released as Final Fantasy 3 in the US or something. But I'm talking about Final Fantasy 3, the one with the Cloud of Darkness, the one with like the 4 kids and you get to pick their jobs. Okay, that one. Favorite video game all time, Final Fantasy 3. Number 2 was my favorite card game. Has to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Not because it's a good game, but because I love role-playing when I play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh yeah, that's the funnest thing. I draw a card.
Yes. Like, when I play Yu-Gi-Oh!, it sounds like an episode of the anime, right? I draw a card and activate. Source of revealing light. Your monsters cannot attack for this turn. Or
yeah,
like,
I do it too.
When my opponent direct attacks me, I go like, "Argh!"
It's just so good for that.
Yeah, dude, Yu-Gi-Oh! The best card game experience if you're not actually taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Board game would have to be Game of the Generals, which is a pretty fun game. If you don't know what that is, it's hidden information chess. So you have different pieces, and they can only eat or defeat pieces that are of the same rank or lower, but you don't know what your opponent's pieces are.
That's interesting.
And you get to position them however you want. So it's entirely possible that you try to eat your opponent's piece, but it turns out to be higher starred than your piece, and then you lose your piece and they don't. Ooh.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So that's it, Game of the Generals.
Oh.
Because it's pretty great. Downside is you need 3 players to do it. 1 player to play one side, 1 player to play the other side, and the 3rd player has to check whether or not your piece or his piece gets eaten, because you can't show the pieces to the other guy. It ruins the point of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that pretty much does it for 99 questions. And Cameron, I'm so sorry, but this episode of the Level Cap podcast must come to a close.
It was good being on here again. I felt better this one. Like, I wasn't... it was just good, this one. Personally.
You think so?
Yeah, like, on a personal
personally.
level. I wasn't as nervous as the last one, so it probably is more entertaining.
You sounded more confident, and we were able to talk more about strategy. But honestly, I feel like garbage right now, so we better end this podcast before I absolutely pass out.
Alright, let's do that.
Alright. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Level Cap Podcast. As usual, it has been me, your host, Marco DeSantos, also known as the Mechanic Critic /Eminem Kami. And with me has been my wonderful co-host. Thank you so much for filling in for Brad's spot while he's been away, Cameron Nojemski.
Thanks, guys. It's good to be back. Thank you very much, man.
Well, we'll have you as guest more often, because you're on the cusp of all that sweet, sweet BCO knowledge. Internally, anyway. Okay, fine. So, thank you so much for listening. And again, don't forget your Force Special Action. And thank you, World of Indians. Thank you, and good night. Happy gaming. Special end segment. Welcome to the secret segment that nobody else should know about unless you're a hardcore dedicated fan of the Level Cap podcast. Cameron, can you spoil us a PTO card that's not yet in the current build of PTO?
Oh, wow. Can I? Seth's card? Wait, is Seth's card in yet? I'm pretty sure he looks good. He's got scry effects. He looks really good for draw support. So, but the next one's going to be what story is Lixus from? Lixus the Next World. So that'll be the next one.
Lixus's story, that might be like the war era. So it probably something related to Willat, probably, or Reliquor, either one.
Okay, here they are. So the next characters, the next world will be Imperial City.
EMPY?
EMPY. Yep.
Oh, that's interesting because Imperial City is also the main city in Imperial Spells in Steam, the upcoming board game from Level 99 Games about trains.
So the heroes, the leaders will be Joel, Seth, Fenar, Carolyn, Tatsumi, Johto, Lixus, Kalimenria, and Darius. That'll be the next ones. So there you go. That's a spoiler that no one else knows besides me and Brad.
Ooh, welcome to the special secret circle. And that pretty much does it for the Level Cap podcast. Legit this time. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you for being a dedicated fan. And we love you so much. Goodbye. Say goodbye, Cameron.
Goodbye.
Nice.